Hey up everybody, and welcome back to the Audio Cycling YouTube channel, where today we're going to be taking a look at the Eschborn Frankfurt, which is the next round of the Super Classico. It's a Category 2 race, but it's with all the racing going on with Romandy and the Giro just around the corner, it's a little bit easy to forget about the Super Classico since we've just come off of the Ardennes. But the Eschborn Frankfurt, this is what the profile looks like. We've seen a variety of ways of this race has gone in the past. We've seen, breakaway. I feel like breakaway won like 2 years ago. We saw a reduced sprint last year, but we have also seen sprints in this race in the past. Phillips has won this race in the past. I think it was 2021 that he won this race. So it's a bit of a weird one to predict because there's lots of different scenarios which could pan out. Realistically, I see this first climb as being the break formation phase, and then we're going to go through some. It's still quite far from a finish here. We've still got probably 2-ish hours of racing from the second pass of the Feldberg, and then we've got the Mammal Chain, which is 2.4 kilometers at 7.5%. We saw some, pretty brutal attacks here last time, and it just depends whether, the sprinters can survive this middle section and then hang on, not lose loads of time and then come back afterwards. So it's going to be an attacking style of race versus the sprinters wanting to hang on. And you got lots of kind of sprinters and lots of attackers in this race. Based upon recent form, I would say Hershey isn't on my favourites list, just based upon the fact that he hasn't had really the results recently. So I'd probably favour taking Philipsen instead of him, because Philipsen has won this race in the past. He is a decent climber, and I do think that he can survive this sort of parcours. You might argue that it might be better to take Philipsen off and go with somebody cheaper down here, and then distribute your credits a bit better, just because in this race, because if it might end up in a sprint, you're not going to end up with very many breakaway points, so therefore it might make sense to try and distribute your credits a bit more evenly across your riders. Alaphilippe has been looking good. He was up there, he was aggressive in Amstel Gold Race, he was making moves in Liège-Bastogne-Liège. I don't think he's quite prime Alaphilippe just yet, but if somebody's going to be attacking, then I think it'll be him. Arambarou I like, even though he did DNF, or he just kind of got dropped in La Flèche Wallonne. He was up there in Liège, top 20, so I think that he's fine to try and snag a top 10. I think Matthews very much similarly. Him and Arambarou I think are both really safe choices, and I think provide a good base for a lot of teams to be built upon. Mohoric probably not. Paulus was 10th in Liège, and I think that he'll be the leader for EF. He'll probably be attacking, so it's a little bit of a risk if you go for an attacking team, because if it doesn't work out, they are not going to be sprinting to good positions. So you might want to split your team to be a little bit 50-50 with attackers and sprinters, or you might want to go either way, depending on whether you want to really try and take a gamble to move up the ranking. So I think Paulus is good for an attacking option. Van Hills wasn't great in Liège, and I don't think that enough time has passed for him to really have recovered. I think he said he's got like back pains and stuff like that, so I'm not sure about picking him. Velon's probably not. Pollitt possibly. I just think that UE will probably go with Pollitt because he's kind of like a home favourite. He's German, obviously in one of the big German races. Velons has he kind of went through his peak earlier on in the year, and he's kind of in this weird no man's land of form, so I probably wouldn't be investing 22 credits in Velons. But I think Pollitt's alright, Turns probably not. Only the 218 credit riders in Ackermann and Magnier. Ackermann we haven't seen racing since he crashed in Tour de la Provence, I think it was, so even if he is German, I'm not going to take him for this race. Magnier, very similar to Tim Velons. He was fantastic at the start of the year, but has just dropped off a little bit. But considering that he is building up for his first Grand Tour in the Giro d'Italia, it's possible that he should be getting into some decent form. Therefore, Magnier could be a strong differential if you're looking for one. The 16 credit riders, obviously, Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe's infinitely strong squad continues with Roger Adlia. I think that he's a okay choice. I don't think he's had the greatest form recently, but considering that the other alternative is maybe like Van Hills, there is also Piffy going to be added in here. He's been added onto the star list, but I don't think that he's in the VELOGAMES just yet, so watch out for that as well. Maybe Adria. They might decide to go with him. It's a little bit risky. Baggioli, I do like the look of. I think he was 6th place in Liège-Bastogne-Liège alongside Thibaut Nace. And I think that I think that Baggioli and Thibaut Nace is a good combination for this race and a good couple of attackers to choose. Court, I like as well, just as being a versatile sprint option alongside Arambarou and Michael Matthews, so got kind of no problems there. Morgado I like as well, 3rd in Brabant-Sipel recently, and like I said earlier about Pollitt, I think that he'll be a very interesting option. I think he's got a decent sprint on him as well, and therefore if it did come back to a sprint, I think that Morgado could be capable of getting a top 10. Turnison is a little bit, I don't know whether he'll make it the climbs or not, but if he does, Astana need these UCI points, so I think they'll be trying to chuck as many people as they can into the top 15, and I think that Turnison will be one of those guys. Zimmerman, after winning d'Abruzzo, wasn't that great in Liège-Bastogne-Liège, so I'm not overly keen on him, but I think if anybody's going to be attacking, it'll probably be him. The 14 credit riders, I like Thibaut Nace, obviously, because he was very good in the Ardennes. Velasco I like as well because he was 4th in Liège-Bastogne-Liège. Another one of these riders who in the Astana contingency could well get a good result. Vermeersch does sprint quite well, but I don't know who UAE Team Emirates will be going with. I think it will be Morgado or Pollitt. It could well be Vermeersch if he gets over it. Stephen Williams just isn't in the best form at the moment. He's been dropped quite a bit in the Ardennes. I'll probably be avoiding him. The 12 credit riders, Lund Andresen, even if Picnic Postanel riders are a little bit cursed at the moment, they just don't seem to be doing that great. Lund Andresen is a good choice. He can climb quite well, and he is very capable of getting the top 10 here. Other 12 credit riders, you've got Ivan Garcia Cortina. I think that he's a nice safe one. I think that Max Cantor is good as well. We haven't seen him in a little bit. He hasn't been in the most winning ways this year, but he's consistent and might get a top 10. Schachmann, without a big sprinter here for Soudal Quickstep, I guess that Schachmann will be their leader, so he'll be attacking, no doubt. Schmid was very good in the Ardennes as well, but I think he'll just be working for Matthews to try and lead him out and set him up for victory, so I'm not sure about Schmid. It might be better to go with somebody who's a leader for their team like Vernon. If Vernon can make the climbs, he'll be very good, so another one to be considering. He's got a good lead out here with Jake Stewart, and I think that they'll be making the climb. So, yeah, I'm quite keen on some of these 12 credit riders. I think they provide some very good value for money. The 10 credit riders, you've got Case Ball, another Astana rider to get into the top 10. Holegaard, possibly. Him and Magnus Cort Nielsen, good choices. Ploymers, without Hershey's not in the greatest form. Alaphilippe was cramping at Liège. Their sprint option is Rick Ploymers. And I think that he is going to the Giro d'Italia as well. So I think that Ploymers is really good value for money at 10 credits. I think that Tim Teutenberg as well. Doesn't climb as well. He's not the greatest climber, and they've got Thibaut Nace and Baggioli, but he'll be their sprint option, no doubt. The 8 credit riders, I like Herzog actually. He was 3rd on that final stage of Tour of the Alps. He looked really strong there. Like when they were doing their chain gang, he was looking super strong. And yeah, with Red Bull Bohanska not having anybody really in especially great form, maybe they ride for Piffy, but I think that Herzog on home soil, I think that he could be a really strong contender for an attacking rider or somebody to get into the breakaway. So I'm a big fan of Herzog for this race. The 6 credit riders, Balanexia possibly, if they don't sprint for Ivan Garcia Cortina, they might well decide to go with him. Akoff might sprint if Lund Andresen isn't there, or Sean Flynn might do the same. You might decide to just go with assist points on Philipsen with any of the Alpecin Koenig riders. Alexander Kamp was top 20 in the Amstel Gold Race. Maybe you go with him. Molobran, Marit, but I doubt that Marit will make the climbs. Colby Simmons has been a decent breakout performer this year so far. Vestlania as well. He was just about 15th or something in Liège, so I'm a big fan of him for the future. But again, he might just be working for Philipsen. And then the 4 credit riders, really, I don't see much value for money here. You're looking at assist points on any big contenders or riders who you think might randomly go into the breakaway. This is my team at the moment. I've got Magnus Cort, Matthews, Arambarou, Lund Andresen, Ivan Garcia Cortina and Morgado. No Philipsen in here, just because I think that just going through those 6 and 4 credit riders, there isn't that much value for money there. And so with the breakaway points not going to be playing that big of a factor in this race, because I think it'll be, a sprint of some sorts, I'm going to not go with Philipsen and try get multiple riders inside the top 10. Obviously, some of the 12 credit riders could well swap around for just equal 12 credit riders. Like I could put Vernon in, for example. Morgado's a bit of a strange one as well. I might well decide to swap him out for Bajoli, just because he was very good in Liège, or I might decide to go with, Thibaut Nace and then put those onto Ivan Garcia Cortina and get another 14 credit rider like Velasco. So there's a couple of variations, but I'm fairly set on the Cort, Matthews and Arambarou combination, because I think that they're pretty safe and Matthews has been in very good form. But let me know what you're thinking in the comment section down below. Who are you going to be selecting for your squad? And also, I don't know if anybody's keen enough, obviously the Giro d'Italia will be starting next week, a week on Friday, so be sure to stick around, because I'm going to be putting out, a few videos for that Giro d'Italia. I'm really excited about it. And yeah, if you really want more videos, if you want more than 3 videos and just loads and loads of talk about the Giro when it gets released, then let me know, because I'd be more than happy just to put out a video a day leading up to it if you would like that. So put all that in the comments and I'll be sure to go read it all. And all that is left to say is to stay safe out there, and I will see you in the next video. Salut!